Have you ever prayed for something, for God to open the door, and then wonder, are you ready? Joseph had woke up in prison, but by the end of the day, he was standing in Pharaoh's palace. It looked like instant success, but he had been prepared the last 13 years through the pit, through slavery, false accusations, prison, and then the waiting. Welcome to Refining Grace, where we study the Word of God to become refined, strengthened, and full of God's grace. Joseph woke up in prison, the same prison he had been in for over 2 years. The same grunge and grind, the same dirty clothes. It had been 2 years since the cupbearer had said he would tell Pharaoh. 2 years and nothing. What chance was there now that he would ever be remembered? Did Joseph lose hope? It would be hard to keep on to that hope. It probably looked like chaos when they came to get him. He was performing his daily chores, and then all of a sudden, they were dragging him out of prison. He may not have even known why. Sometimes when God moves, it may look like chaos because we don't have all the pieces to the puzzle. It may look like things are getting worse, but God is changing everything. God is planning your steps. He has prepared them already, just like he did Joseph. Joseph shed his prison clothes. He washed off all the grime. Then they brought in the new clothes. If he didn't know before, he probably got a glimpse then. When he seen those clothes, he knew that they weren't just everyday clothes. They were formal wear to go before Pharaoh. If he didn't know before, he knew he was going to see Pharaoh. You see, God didn't just prepare Joseph's inside. In that instant, he prepared his outside to match where he was going. Joseph would look the part. No one would recognize him. Said that he shaved, he cleaned up, he had different clothes. He no longer looked like a prisoner. Because of his preparation, he not only looked the part, he knew the protocol. He knew how to stand, how to talk, when to talk when he was in the presence of Pharaoh. God didn't just give Joseph a costume to put on. He wasn't just acting a part. He was prepared for that, and he became what God needed him to become. God gave him the uniform for the position he had prepared for. Joseph now stood before the most powerful man in the world. Pharaoh was the most powerful man in the known world at that time. And in just a few moments, Joseph would be second most powerful. Joseph was ready because God had prepared him. He was ready because he stayed faithful. Joseph's position changed. His looks changed, but his integrity did not. His faithfulness remained the same. Pharaoh gave Joseph his signet ring, the sign of power. He was given the finest linens. Joseph woke up in prisoner's clothes, but now he had a closet full of the best. He was given gold chains and given the second best ride in the world. He was given Pharaoh's second chariot. He went from prison to the palace, from prison chains to gold chains, from prison clothes to the finest of linen, from forgotten to second only to Pharaoh. Joseph had to learn to serve before he could lead. He had to learn to follow God wherever God led him. Luke 16:10 says, "He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much." Joseph learned to be faithful in the least, and God gave him the much. God often develops our character, our integrity, privately before he increases our influence. Joseph didn't waste time to gloat. He didn't celebrate that physical movement. Joseph went to work. He knew that the famine was coming, and that the famine wouldn't just affect him. God didn't place Joseph in that position just for Joseph's benefit. There were millions of people who were relying on where Joseph was now. Those millions included his family. God had prepared Joseph for those people. When God puts you in your position, get to work. It's not about us, but it is all about him. Joseph first had a building phase. He knew famine was coming. He was living in a time of blessing. He was living in a time of abundance where the harvests were going to be more abundant than normal. Joseph had just spent 13 years of want. It would have been easy to bask in the blessing, just to sit and rest for a few, just to catch your breath. Joseph understood that he couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to do what God had prepared him for. If he did, many would suffer. Joseph knew that today's abundance is preparation for tomorrow's need. If you're in a time of blessing, steward it wisely. Your time, finances, ministry, knowledge, and opportunities. Don't waste your season of abundance, your season of plenty. You don't know what God may be preparing you for next. Joseph used this time of plenty to build the resources that would provide during the famine to come. God blessed Joseph with 2 sons during this time. The first was Manasseh. The name Manasseh means God hath made me forget all my toil. It didn't mean that Joseph forgot being in the prison or his brothers throwing him in the pit. He knew that. It's not something that you can just easily forget. What Joseph was saying was what he thought was toil, what he thought was bad, was good. He had learned to look at those 13 years as stepping stones. They were now a blessing to him. His second son, Ephraim, means God had caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Joseph was continuing to give God praise. What looked like evil, what looked like his harm, it was all a blessing coming to pass. God didn't remove Joseph from his place of trial. God blessed him in the place that once caused him pain. We may say, God, get me out, but God's saying, I'm going to use you. I'm going to bless you where you are. After 7 years of plenty, famine came. After 7 years of having more than enough, food that was just overabundant and flowing. After 7 years of having fields that just grew more than you would ever dream, now they couldn't grow anything. But Egypt was prepared. No one would go hungry because God had prepared Joseph for this time. That whole 13 years, Joseph wanted to go home just to see his dad, even to see his brothers. But God had a bigger purpose. The pit, slavery, prison, it wasn't just about Joseph. What you are going through is not just about you. God was preparing Joseph because millions would soon depend on what God had placed him in. What you are going through isn't just about you. It's about the ones that you will soon be helping, the ones who are depending on where God is placing you. It's easy to ask, God, when are you going to change my circumstances? But we need to ask, God, what are you trying to change in me? Joseph's position changed in one day, but it took 13 years for Joseph to be ready for that position. Don't despise the process. God may be preparing you today for something you could not carry yesterday. Join me next time as Joseph gets to see his dreams come true. May God bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and give you peace.